Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep? Today, we're tackling AI in cybersecurity. It's a bit of a mind bender, really. We'll be breaking down the ISC2's 2024 report. It's got some pretty wild stuff in there.
It does feel like we're on the edge of something big, doesn't it? This isn't just, some future thing anymore. AI is here.
Yeah, right now, the report, they talked to over 1,100 cybersecurity pros. And get this, 88% said AI is already messing with their jobs. Like almost everyone.
That's a huge number. It really shows just how fast AI is becoming a part of cybersecurity,
Yeah.
And it's not all sunshine and roses either. The report says cyber criminals, they're using AI too. Their attacks are getting really, really tricky to spot.
So it's like both sides are using AI to get ahead. Kind of scary, huh?
Exactly. It's an arms race. AI attacks that can be so sneaky, they just look like normal stuff happening on the network. Hard to pick them out. In fact, 13% of the pros in the survey, they were sure that the recent jump in cyber threats, that was AI. And another 41% suspected AI, but couldn't, totally prove it.
That's a bit creepy. So how are, regular cybersecurity folks dealing with this AI stuff in their, daily grind?
Well, 35% say AI is already affecting their everyday tasks. Think about that, over a third of them. This isn't, some far-off future thing. AI is changing how cybersecurity works right now.
And all this is happening while we've got a huge shortage of cybersecurity people, right?
Exactly. The latest ISC2 cybersecurity workforce study, they said there are about 5.5 million people in the global cybersecurity workforce, but there's a gap of almost 4 million. So we've got more threats and not enough people to fight them.
A perfect storm brewing. So Where does AI fit in all this? Is it the hero, the villain, or something in between?
The survey results are a bit of a mixed bag, honestly. There's some optimism. 82% of pros think AI will make their jobs more efficient. They see it as a way to, get rid of all the boring, repetitive stuff and free them up to do the more challenging, complex work.
That makes sense. Nobody wants to spend their day, manually looking through logs when an AI could do it, faster and probably better, right?
Yeah.
It's like having an extra set of eyes, but super efficient ones.
Right. The survey pointed out a few specific things where pros see AI as a total game changer. 81% think AI is going to be amazing at figuring out user behavior patterns, and 75% see it taking over those repetitive tasks we were talking about.
So AI is watching for anything out of the ordinary constantly.
Yep, exactly. And 71% think AI can be used to watch network traffic and catch malware, like a digital bloodhound sniffing out bad code.
It's amazing how AI can predict where the weak spots are in an organization's IT stuff, right? It's almost like having a crystal ball for cyber attacks.
That's a great way to put it. And 62% of those surveyed, they agreed with you on that. They think AI can help know where those vulnerabilities are before they even get attacked, gives them a chance to fix things up. But, even with all this good stuff, there's still this kind of uneasy feeling, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. We talked about AI being a double-edged sword earlier. What were the pros in the study? What were their biggest worries about AI being used for, bad stuff?
Well, a big one, 75% of them said they're worried about AI being used to actually launch cyber attacks, being used by the bad guy.
Yeah, using AI to actually attack. And, that worry, it kind of comes through in the whole survey. They asked, does AI help the good guys, the cybersecurity pros, more than the criminals? And the answers were, all over the place. 28% said yes, but 37% said no, and a whole bunch, 32%, they just weren't sure.
Sounds like even the experts are scratching their heads about what AI really means, right?
Yeah.
Not a simple good guy, bad guy thing.
Not at all. And that's why, talking about this is so important. We got to understand both the good stuff AI can do and the bad stuff, the risks, so we can actually figure out how to deal with it all, right? So let's dig into those worries the pros have about AI being used for bad stuff. What's keeping them up at night,
Yeah, what are they most worried about? Top of the list, AI-powered threats. Well, the biggest one, 76% of them pointed to this, is misinformation attacks.
So AI being used to spread, fake news, propaganda, all that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. And that's tied to their second biggest worry, deepfakes. 70% are worried about AI making those super realistic fake videos, or audio recordings. The potential for tricking people, it's huge.
It's got scary.
Yeah.
Imagine a deep fake video of, a CEO saying something crazy or a politician declaring war. It could cause so much chaos.
And with all the elections happening around the world in 2024, it's even more of a worry. The report mentioned, the U.S., India, Indonesia, Pakistan, Russia, Mexico, Bangladesh, all having big elections this year, plus the UK, the EU, lots of others. So many targets for those AI-driven disinformation campaigns,
It's a wake-up call, for sure.
Yeah.
AI could really mess with public opinion, make people distrust everything.
And it's not just elections, right? The report found that 64% of the pros are worried about disinformation campaigns aimed at messing with the public in general, causing problems, making people distrust institutions, all that.
So it's not just about stealing data anymore. It's about messing with people's heads.
Exactly. It's about manipulation, changing how people think and act in really sneaky and harmful ways. And the survey, they also found people are worried about social engineering, where AI could be used to make those super convincing phishing emails or social media messages that trick people into giving up info.
It's like AI gives these bad guys a whole new toolkit to be even more sneaky.
Yeah, that's it. So let's talk about, are we ready for all this? How do we deal with this new world where AI is such a big part of cybersecurity?
Well, the survey did have some stuff on that. It said 60% of the pros feel like they could, lead an AI rollout in their organization. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's a start, yeah. But there's a catch. The survey also said that 41% of those same pros, they don't have much experience with AI or machine learning. And 21% straight up said they don't know enough about AI to deal with the problems it could cause.
So we don't really know what we're doing yet. That's a little worrying.
It is. And it shows we need to get people educated, trained up on this stuff fast. Cybersecurity pros, they got to really understand AI, how it works, what it can do, both good and bad, and how to use it, responsibly. They got to be able to spot those AI-driven threats, understand how AI can be biased, all that.
It's not just about knowing the tech stuff. It's about thinking about AI in the right way.
Right.
Ethically.
Exactly. And this learning, it's got to happen everywhere in an organization, not just with the tech people. Everyone needs to understand what AI can do, the good and bad, and what the rules are for using it.
So we need a whole culture of, AI awareness.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And to make things even more complicated, there aren't really any standard rules for AI, no regulations or policies that everyone follows. The survey found 59% of the people they talked to are worried about this lack of clear guidelines, best practices for AI and cybersecurity.
So it's like the Wild West out there. Everyone's just making it up as they go.
Yeah, kind of feels that way sometimes. And this lack of clear rules, it's making everyone nervous. 57% said they're worried about the ethical implications of AI, 55% about privacy violations, and 52% about data poisoning, where bad data messes up the AI algorithms and causes problems.
That's a lot to worry about. Seems like we need some ground rules before things get out of hand. But who's going to make those rules? Governments, industry leaders, someone else.
That's the million-dollar question, right? The survey had some interesting thoughts on that. 80% of the people they talked to, a huge majority, said we need clear regulations, rules about how to use AI and cybersecurity safely and ethically.
So regulations are seen as, essential. But who should be in charge?
Well, opinions are kind of split. 63% said it should be a team effort, governments working together to make sure there's a standard approach everywhere, across borders.
Makes sense. Cyber attacks, they don't care about borders, so a global approach to AI regulation would be good, right?
Right. But even though global cooperation is, the ideal, 54% also said they want their own national governments to step up and do more about regulating AI.
So people want both international cooperation and strong leadership from their own countries.
Exactly. And it's not just about governments either. 61% said they want AI experts involved, using their knowledge to help shape those rules and make sure AI is developed and used the right way.
So a team effort with governments, experts, and, cybersecurity pros all working together. Sounds reasonable.
It does. Shows we need people talking to each other, sharing what they know. But here's the thing. Even though people want those regulations, they also realize that AI is a really broad thing, right? Different types of AI have different risks, so the rules might need to be different too. 72% agreed with that.
Yeah, one size fits all probably won't work for all the different ways AI can be used. So what did the survey say about how companies are actually managing access to AI tools? Are they letting people use them or what?
Well, it's all over the map. No one's doing the same thing. 12% of the organizations, they went hardcore, totally blocked access to any generative AI tools, things like ChatGPT. not allowed at work.
Wow, that's pretty extreme. Why would they do that?
Probably a bunch of reasons, right? Security worries, privacy concerns. Maybe they just don't want employees using it for, the wrong things. And then on the other end, 29% are like, go for it, use whatever generative AI tools you want. Total opposite.
So total lockdown versus open access, huh? What about the companies in between?
Yeah, well, 32% are being more careful. They're letting people use some AI tools, but not others, like picking and choosing based on what they think is safe and useful.
So they're trying to find that balance, right?
Yeah.
Using AI's power, but without, too much risk.
Exactly. But here's the thing that's kind of worrying. 17% of the organizations, they haven't even talked about this whole AI access thing. Like, they're just ignoring it, hoping it'll go away.
And then there's that 10% who have no idea what their company's doing about AI access. Not exactly reassuring.
Not at all. This whole lack of, clear policies, it shows we need education and guidance at every level from the top down.
So if we want to make this AI thing work, if we want to use it to our advantage, it's got to be a group effort, right?
Yep.
Companies need clear rules, they need to train people, and they got to create a culture where people use AI responsibly. And governments, they got to step up and make those rules, those guidelines to keep things fair and safe.
I couldn't agree more. And that brings us back to what the ISC2 report really emphasized, AI and cybersecurity, it's changing fast. Lots of potential, but lots of risks, too. It's not just, good versus evil. It's way more complicated than that. We got to think carefully, plan ahead, and be ready to adapt as AI keeps evolving.
So it's about understanding what AI can do, what it can't do, and working together to make sure it's used in a way that's, good for everyone.
That's it, exactly. And that's where cybersecurity pros become even more important. They're the ones, on the front lines, fighting off attacks, using new tech, teaching others how to do it right.
Like the pioneers, exploring this new world, showing everyone else the way.
That's a great way to put it. And they got to keep learning, keep adapting, because cybersecurity, it's always changing, and AI is just the latest, wave of that change.
It's like we're all in for a wild ride.
We are. But before we get too excited about this AI future, let's talk about some of the specific threats that are, really worrying those cybersecurity pros. We talked about misinformation, deep fakes, but there's more to it.
Right. What other AI-powered threats are out there lurking in the shadows?
Well, apart from all that information stuff, 47% of the pros in the survey, they're worried about adversarial attacks.
Adversarial attacks. What are those exactly?
Those are attacks that are specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in AI systems themselves. Imagine someone messing with the data an AI system uses to learn, basically poisoning its brain.
So they trick the AI into making bad decisions, misclassifying stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty sneaky.
It is. And it can cause some serious problems. An adversarial attack could trick a spam filter that uses AI into letting through bad emails, or it could mess with a self-driving car, make it misread a sign, and maybe cause an accident.
That's some scary stuff. It really shows how important it is to understand how these AI systems work and how they can be, tricked.
Absolutely. And adversarial attacks, that's just one piece of the puzzle. 41% of the people on the survey also said they're worried about AI being used to steal intellectual property.
So stealing trade secrets, patents, copyrights, all that valuable stuff.
Exactly. Imagine an AI system. It's been trained on tons of data, including confidential research documents. It could figure out which stuff is valuable and steal it, give it to a competitor, or, even a whole country.
That's a nightmare for any company trying to stay ahead, with new ideas and innovation. What else did they find in the survey? What other threats?
Well, 35% said they're worried about unauthorized access, people getting into systems they shouldn't, and AI being used to make that happen.
So AI helping hackers break in, bypass security, steal data.
Exactly. An AI system could scan for vulnerabilities, guess passwords, even pretend to be a legitimate user to get into a network. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real.
That's chilling. Shows we need really strong cybersecurity stuff that can stand up to these AI-powered attacks. Was there anything else in the survey about, worries people had about AI and cybersecurity?
There was one, kind of surprising. 16% said they were worried that AI-based threat detection systems, the ones that are supposed to protect us, might actually get too good at their jobs.
Too good. How's that a bad thing?
Well, they're worried these systems might get so good at spotting and blocking threats that they start, crossing the line, invading people's privacy.
So it's like a security guard who's so focused on security that they start searching everyone, even if they haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It raises questions about, how much security is too much, where's the line between safety and privacy, and who gets to decide that?
Tough questions, for sure. It seems like we need to talk about this, the ethical side of using AI in cybersecurity, and how to find that balance between protecting people and respecting their privacy.
Absolutely. Those conversations are crucial. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what cybersecurity pros and organizations can do to get ready for this future with AI. Where do we even begin?
Yeah, where do we start? What did this survey suggest?
Well, the people they talked to, they pointed to a few key areas. The first one, the biggest one, is education and training.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Can't fight what you don't understand, right?
Right. Cybersecurity pros, they need a strong foundation in, AI concepts, algorithms, all that stuff. That'll help them use AI for good and defend against it being used for bad. They got to know how to spot those AI-driven threats, understand how AI can be biased, all of that.
So it's not just about, knowing the technical stuff. It's about having a critical eye, an ethical perspective on AI.
Exactly. And this education, it can't just be for the tech people. It's got to be for everyone in the organization. Everyone needs to be on the same page about AI, what it can do, the good and the bad, and what the rules are for using it.
Sounds like companies need to build a culture of AI awareness, right?
Yeah.
AI literacy.
It's a good way to put it.
Right.
And another thing they need to do, they got to take a hard look at their current cybersecurity systems and figure out where AI-powered attacks could get in. That means checking their security policies, making sure their software and hardware are up to date, and having strong authentication and access control, all that stuff.
So making sure their fences are strong enough to handle these new AI-powered attacks.
Exactly. But technology, that's not enough on its own. They also got to invest in their people, give them the training and resources they need to actually deal with AI-driven threats.
So giving the human defenders the tools they need to fight this new kind of cyber warfare.
That's it. And that includes having a plan, a specific plan for dealing with AI-driven attacks. So if they get attacked, they know what to do, they can react quickly and effectively.
Like having a playbook for dealing with these new AI threats. But what about being proactive? What can organizations do to, get ahead of these threats, try to stop them before they happen?
That's where they got to start thinking like the bad guys. They got to figure out how attackers might use AI and then take steps to stop those attacks from happening. That means staying up to date on the latest AI attack techniques, sharing information about threats with other organizations, and working with security researchers and vendors to develop new defenses.
So it's a constant back and forth, trying to stay one step ahead of the attackers.
It is a constant cat and mouse game. And it's a game where you got to keep learning, keep adapting, and keep working together. You can't be complacent in cybersecurity. And AI, it's the latest challenge, the one that needs all our attention and brain power.
We've talked about the good things AI can do in cybersecurity, the scary things it could do, and how companies can get ready for it. But let's go back to the ethical stuff for a minute, something we talked about earlier. How do we make sure this powerful tech, AI, is developed and used ethically?
That's a big question, a complicated one, but there are some guiding principles that can help. The most important one is making sure AI systems are designed and used in a way that respects people's rights and freedoms. That means protecting privacy, making sure it's not used to discriminate, and making sure someone's accountable for the decisions AI makes.
So making sure AI doesn't become a tool for oppression or control.
Exactly. We got to be careful, super careful about how we use this tech. Make sure it aligns with, our values, our ethical principles. And another key thing is transparency. We need to understand how AI systems work, how they make decisions, what data they use.
So to no black boxes.
Right.
We got to be able to see what AI is doing, understand how it's making its decisions.
Right. And this transparency, it's got to go beyond just the technical stuff. We got to be open about how AI is being used, what it's supposed to do, and any risks it might have. That open communication is key to building trust, making sure people are accountable.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we talk about it, how we involve the public in the conversation.
Absolutely. And that leads to another important principle, inclusivity. We got to make sure that AI benefits everyone, not just a few people. That means addressing bias in AI systems, making sure there's diversity in the people developing AI, and making sure everyone can access and benefit from AI.
So making sure AI doesn't make existing inequalities worse or create new ones.
Exactly. We got to think about the impact AI will have on society, on ethics, and make sure it's used to promote fairness, justice, and equality for everyone.
Those are some important guiding principles. But how do we actually put them into practice? How do we make sure AI is developed and used ethically in the real world?
There are a few things we can do. First, we need clear ethical guidelines and standards for AI development and deployment. Things like data privacy protocols, ways to detect bias, and frameworks to hold people accountable. Governments, industry groups, professional organizations, some combination of those, they got to develop these guidelines.
So like setting the ground rules for AI.
Exactly. And those guidelines, they can't just be suggestions. There have to be consequences if people break them. We also need to invest in research and development to figure out how to deal with the ethical challenges of AI. That means developing techniques to detect and fix bias in AI systems, creating AI models that are easier to understand, and exploring new ways to govern AI so that it's accountable and transparent.
So pushing the boundaries of AI, but doing it ethically responsibly.
That's it. But it's not just about the technology. We also got to educate people about AI, what it can do, what the risks are, and the ethical stuff we've been talking about. This education, it could happen in schools, universities, community organizations, even the media.
So raising awareness, getting people talking about AI, thinking about these things.
Exactly. The more people know about AI, the better they'll be at demanding that it's developed and used responsibly. And finally, we need to encourage collaboration, get everyone talking to each other, all the different groups involved with AI, governments, industry leaders, researchers, civil society organizations, and the public.
Sounds like a huge task, getting everyone on the same page, having honest conversations about the future of AI.
It is. We got to work together to make sure AI is developed and used in a way that benefits everyone. It's a tough challenge, but it's one we got to face head on to make sure AI has a positive future.
AI is powerful. It has the potential to change everything. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? It's up to all of us to make sure AI is used for good.
Well said. The future of AI, it's in our hands. We have to shape it wisely, ethically.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today, but it's clear that this conversation about AI and cybersecurity, it's just getting started. We still have so much to learn, so much to talk about, and so much to do to make sure this tech is used responsibly and effectively.
Absolutely. It's constantly changing, and we need to stay informed, stay involved, and stay committed to creating a positive future for AI.
Well said. Let's shift gears a bit now and look at how organizations are actually using AI in their cybersecurity operations right now. Like real-world examples of how AI is being used to stop threats and make things more secure.
That's a great idea. Let's get down to the practical stuff. Let's start by looking at how AI is being used to improve threat detection and response.
Okay, how's AI changing the game when it comes to finding and stopping those cyber attacks?
One of the most common ways AI is used in cybersecurity is in security information and event management, or SIEM. These systems, they collect and analyze security data from a bunch of different sources, like firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and antivirus software.
So it's like a central hub for all the security data from an organization's network, right?
Exactly. Traditionally, you'd have human analysts looking through all that data, trying to spot threats. But AI is changing that. AI-powered SIEM systems can now do a lot of that analysis automatically, using machine learning algorithms to find patterns, anomalies, anything that looks suspicious, things that a human analyst might miss.
So it's like having a super efficient security guard scanning through all that data way faster and more accurately than any human could.
Exactly. And this can make a huge difference in how quickly an organization can detect and respond to threats. By automating the analysis, AI frees up those security analysts to focus on the more complex stuff, like threat hunting and incident response.
It's about using AI to make humans better, not replacing them altogether.
Exactly. And AI isn't just used for finding known threats. It's also used to identify brand new threats, ones that haven't been seen before. That's where machine learning is really useful. It can analyze huge amounts of data and spot those subtle patterns that might signal a new attack technique or a new kind of malware.
It's like an early warning system for cyber attacks.
Exactly. And that gives organizations a head start in defending against those new threats. But AI isn't just about detection. It's also being used to improve how organizations respond to incidents.
Okay, so how is AI helping companies respond better once they've been attacked?
Once an attack is discovered, AI can automate a lot of the steps involved in incident response. Things like isolating infected systems, blocking malicious traffic, and recovering data that's been compromised.
So basically containing the damage and getting everything back to normal as quickly as possible.
Exactly. AI can do this way faster and more efficiently than humans, which is crucial for minimizing the impact of an attack. AI can also analyze the attack patterns and figure out the root cause of the incident. That information can then be used to improve the organization's security and prevent similar attacks from happening again.
So learning from mistakes and making sure they don't happen again.
Precisely. But AI isn't just being used reactively, it's also being used proactively to try and stop attacks from happening in the first place.
Okay, so how's AI being used to strengthen those defenses and make organizations less vulnerable to attacks?
One way is through AI-powered vulnerability scanners. These tools can automatically scan an organization's systems for known weaknesses and recommend ways to fix them.
So it's like an AI security consultant constantly checking for weak spots in your defenses.
Exactly. And these scanners can be way more efficient and effective than traditional vulnerability scanning tools because they use machine learning algorithms to identify vulnerabilities that might otherwise be missed.
It makes sense to use AI to automate those essential security tasks and make them better. What about user authentication and access control? How's AI being used there?
AI is making a difference there too. For example, AI-powered systems can look at user behavior patterns and spot any unusual activity that might indicate someone's account has been taken over or that there's a malicious insider.
So it's like an AI watchdog, keeping an eye on user accounts and looking for anything suspicious.
Exactly. And these systems are way more sophisticated than traditional security systems because they can learn and adapt to new attack techniques.
It sounds like AI is already having a big impact on how cybersecurity works, and it seems like its influence will only grow in the years to come.
Absolutely. As AI technology keeps advancing, we can expect to see even more innovative uses in cybersecurity, from AI-powered malware analysis to AI-driven threat intelligence sharing.
It's an exciting time to be involved in cybersecurity, but it's also a time of big changes and uncertainty. As we've talked about in this deep dive, AI comes with both opportunities and challenges, and it's up to all of us to make sure this technology is used ethically and responsibly.
I couldn't agree more. The future of cybersecurity is intertwined with the future of AI, and it's our collective responsibility to shape that future in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. Before we wrap up, I want to go back to something we discussed earlier. Those practical applications of AI in cybersecurity. Could you give us some specific examples of how organizations are using AI successfully right now?
Absolutely. Let's start with how AI is being used to improve endpoint security.
Okay, how's AI changing things when it comes to protecting individual devices like laptops and smartphones?
Traditionally, endpoint security has relied heavily on signature-based detection, where software compares files against a database of known malware signatures. But AI is enabling a more proactive and intelligent approach.
So instead of just reacting to known threats, AI can anticipate and prevent attacks before they even happen.
Exactly. AI-powered endpoint security solutions can analyze a huge amount of data, including file behavior, network traffic, and user activity, to identify patterns and anomalies that might signal malicious activity.
So it's like having an AI detective constantly watching over your devices and looking for any sign of trouble.
That's a great way to put it. And this proactive approach can be much more effective than traditional methods because it can detect zero-day attacks and other threats that haven't been seen before.
It sounds like AI is taking endpoint security to a whole new level.
It is, and it's not just about prevention. AI is also being used to improve incident response on endpoints. For example, AI-powered solutions can automatically isolate infected devices, quarantine malicious files, and even roll back systems to a previous state before an attack happened.
Oh, that's impressive. It sounds like AI is really helping to minimize the damage and disruption caused by attacks.
It is, and it's making incident response much faster and more efficient. But AI is also being used in more strategic ways to improve cybersecurity. For example, it's being used to make threat intelligence better.
Okay, how's AI changing the way organizations gather and share information about threats?
Traditionally, threat intelligence has been a manual and time-consuming process, relying a lot on human analysts to gather and analyze data from all sorts of sources. But AI is automating and streamlining this process, making it a lot more efficient and effective.
So it's like having an army of AI researchers out there constantly scanning the internet and other sources for information about threats.
That's a good analogy. AI-powered threat intelligence platforms can process massive amounts of data from lots of sources, including security blogs, forums, dark web marketplaces, and even social media, to identify emerging threats and vulnerabilities.
That's incredible. So AI is helping to connect the dots and identify threats that might otherwise go unnoticed.
Exactly. And it's not just about collecting data. AI can also analyze this data to identify patterns, trends, and relationships, giving organizations valuable insights into the threat landscape.
It sounds like AI is giving organizations a much clearer picture of the threats they face.
It is. And this intelligence can then be used to inform security strategies, prioritize vulnerabilities, and make better decisions about how to allocate resources.
So AI is helping to make cybersecurity more data-driven and proactive.
Exactly. And it's also being used to improve collaboration and information sharing between organizations.
Okay, how is AI helping organizations work together more effectively in the fight against cybercrime?
Traditionally, organizations have been hesitant to share information about threats and vulnerabilities because of concerns about confidentiality, liability, and competitive disadvantage. But AI is helping to overcome these barriers by automating the process of anonymizing and sharing data.
So AI is making it easier for organizations to work together without having to worry about compromising their sensitive information.
Exactly. And this increased collaboration is essential in the fight against cybercrime because it allows organizations to pool their resources, knowledge, and expertise.
It sounds like AI is playing a crucial role in breaking down those silos and fostering a more collaborative approach to cybersecurity.
It is. And it's not just about sharing information. AI is also being used to facilitate joint threat hunting and incident response efforts between organizations.
So AI is enabling a more coordinated and effective response to attacks.
Exactly. And this is essential in today's interconnected world where attacks can often span multiple organizations and even countries.
It's remarkable how AI is transforming cybersecurity from a reactive to a proactive discipline.
It is, and as AI technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge, further strengthening our defenses against cybercrime.
It's an exciting time to be involved in cybersecurity, but it's also a time of great responsibility. We need to ensure that AI is developed and used ethically and responsibly.
I completely agree. As we embrace the potential of AI in cybersecurity, we must never lose sight of the human element. It's ultimately about protecting people, their data, and their digital lives. It is. And like we were saying, it's like any powerful tool, right? You got to know how to use it right, understand what it can and can't do. If you want to use it safely and effectively, that's where all this stuff in the survey about needing some kind of standard rules and policies for AI, that's where that becomes really important.
Yeah, it feels like we're at this point where everyone's kind of like, whoa, AI is powerful.
Yeah.
But nobody's really sure how to, use it responsibly,
That uncertainty, it shows up in how companies are dealing with AI tools right now. Remember we were talking about how some companies are blocking things like ChatGPT completely while others are letting everyone use them. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's like we're all part of this giant experiment trying to figure out what works. But like you said before, the stakes are pretty high, right? AI could change everything about cybersecurity.
Exactly. And that's why there's this big push for some kind of clear guidelines, best practices for using AI. Cybersecurity pros, they need a solid framework to work with so they can use AI confidently and ethically.
Like, we need a set of rules for the road, so to speak, for AI, so everyone knows how to use it safely.
That's a good way to think about it. And the survey, it shows that cybersecurity pros, they want that guidance. They want to know how to use AI the right way, how to protect against it being used for bad stuff. And they want to make sure it's developed and used ethically, right?
So it's not about being scared of AI or rejecting it. It's about embracing it, but thoughtfully, strategically, with a real understanding of what it can do, both the good and the bad.
Exactly. Organizations like ISC2, they have a big role to play here, providing training, resources, certifications, giving cybersecurity pros the skills and knowledge they need to thrive in this new world with AI everywhere.
Like, we need to train a whole army of, AI guardians to protect us from the threats out there.
That's a good one. And it's not just about technical skills, right? It's about creating a culture where everyone thinks about AI ethically. We need people who can speak up, who can challenge assumptions, who can advocate for doing things the right way with AI.
So creating an environment where ethics and innovation go hand in hand, right? Where it's not just about what AI can do, but what it should do.
That's a great way to put it. And that's where good leadership is so important. The people at the top, they need to set the example, they need to create clear ethical guidelines, and they need to build a culture where everyone values responsible AI.
Like setting the moral compass for the whole organization.
Right.
Making sure everyone's on the same page about AI ethics.
Exactly. And that leadership, it can't just stop at individual companies, it needs to go further. We need industry leaders, policymakers, researchers, everyone working together to establish those regulations and standards for AI that we've been talking about.
So it's got to be a group effort across different sectors with everyone contributing.
Absolutely. The AI genie is out of the bottle. There's no putting it back. The challenge now is, how do we control it? How do we use its power responsibly? How do we make sure it's used to make things more secure, to protect people's privacy, and to create a safer, more ethical digital world for everyone?
Well, we certainly explored a lot today, haven't we? This whole complex and constantly changing relationship between AI and cybersecurity.
We have. And it's clear that this is just the start of the conversation. AI keeps advancing, so we can expect even more amazing uses in cybersecurity, but also new challenges, new ethical dilemmas that we'll have to grapple with.
It's a journey that's going to require us to keep learning, keep adapting, and keep working together. But it's going to be an exciting ride, that's for sure.
I completely agree. And to everyone listening, stay curious, stay informed, and stay involved in this conversation about AI and cybersecurity. Because in the end, the future of our digital world, it depends on us getting this right.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, stay safe and keep exploring.